We are looking at the Dwarfs, specifically with the mod I've been looking at recently, and that is the Singe's Skills for Lords. And I think that what we're going to find is, unlike the last two, we've looked at the High Elves and the Empire. There weren't that many really powerful skill sets. There are some outrageously powerful skill sets in the Singe data for the Dwarf Lords. We've got Thorgrim Grudgebearer here, the High King. There's a lot of interest in Dwarfs right now because of the Deeps edition. So what does Singe do? Singe adds 4 of 5 skills to the personal skill line down here. These are all Thorgrim. Thorgrim's got some outstanding abilities. Thane capacity. Alright, research and master engineer capacity. Oath Gold and Runesmith capacity. And now he's got that High King decrees. He's got 1 there and 1 there. These are used for Deeps buildings. And then here he's got another High King degree. So we got 1, 2, 3 High King decrees there. Here's the skills added by Singe. So these would not appear on your traditional. So this one here, melee attack and charge bonus for dwarf melee infantry. You're going to have a lot of melee infantry. So look, all those units are getting that bonus. The High King's Guard, armor and melee defense for hammers. And Karazankor Air Corps, armor piercing missile damage and ammunition for gyrocopter units. So gyrocopters are insanely strong. In the update that brought Malakai on board, they were buffed, their unit numbers were changed, their abilities were changed, their combat stats were changed, and here you're going to improve them again. And look, this is available only at level 8, right? Look at this one. Level 4, level 6, level 8, and then here at level 10, range for flame cannon and organ guns. Maybe that's the weakest of the 4, because flame cannon and organ guns, I think most people just tend to use grudge throwers, and the upgrades to the eagle claws or the bolt throwers are good. So Thorgrim got some really strong ones here, buffing the infantry that he uses for the most part. So let's go and take a look at the others. Of course, we've got 6 of these guys to get through. Thorgrim by far, I think, the most popular. So let's start a new one. Let's take a look at whoever's next. Here we've got Ungrim. So Ungrim being the Slayer King, his traditional skill line is going to be Slayer based. Slayers, for those of you who are unfamiliar, deal a lot of damage. They have an ability with Ungrim where they don't necessarily die until they've taken a certain amount of damage, so the units continue dealing on all that damage, and they move relatively quickly for Dwarfs. So let's grab Ungrim and take a look. His traditional skills, you can see here, melee attack and weapon strength for himself. These increase his capabilities, and look at that, 15 meters around him. You've got bonus for large for his slayers. Here you've got ward save when fighting warriors, chaos, Norskid demons. This one here, his hit points go up and replenishment rate for the slayers goes up. And then Slayer King, ward save, and Journey's End upgraded. So Journey's End is the one that here, hit points greater than 75%, entities cannot die. So as long as the unit has 75% of its hit points, none of the units in there, none of the actual models in there can die. And then Journey's End upgraded. I wonder what that is, it doesn't say. So you can see here he's got 4 skills added on through the Singe skill set. This one here, melee defense and ward save for slayers. So slayers have very poor armor, so having melee defense prevents them from getting hit and prevents damage in the first place. And ward save is just going to take away 5% of all damage they would normally take. You've got Frenzy for Slayer units. Remember, Frenzy is a buff when you have high leadership. Slayers are unbreakable, so as far as I know, they're unbreakable, so that's going to mean that they're going to keep that Frenzy bonus. Find the Horror's attribute calls fear for Slayer units. So right this one, Ascendant Fury, which is weapon damage and armor piercing, if they get more than 80 kills. So this is a fantastic skill set, leans really hard into Ungrim's power as the Slayer King. Usually with Ungrim, you're going to run around buffing your replenishment rate and your Slayer stats. Come down here. You can see he's got Slayers here. All of this stuff has got Slayers in it. It's all about buffing his Slayers. So adding another 4 really good skill sets to that gives him a good buff. I think Ungrim is the least interesting of the lords to play when you're playing as dwarfs. Kind of one-dimensional if you do just go with Slayers, but if you just like dealing a lot of damage, Slayers are the way to go. So let's go take a look at the next load up. So let's get another one, come in here, and we'll take a look here at Belegar. So Belegar has a really interesting start. He starts over near Ikit and Athelloren. He has a huge upkeep cost, 50% increase in his costs until he gets to Carrick 8 Peaks, which is a long way away. So he can get an early confederation of Carrick and get a good army together that he can actually pay for. So let's take a look at what he's got. Remember, he gets these ancestor heroes. They're all immortal. So, and they are free as far as I know, so that does help him at the beginning. So where's Belegar? Let's take a look at his traditional skill line first. Diplomatic relations with dwarfs, global recruitment reduced, and global recruitment capacity +1. That's good because if you do head for Carrick 8 Peaks in a rush and you don't want to have to settle and build up recruitment along the way, you can recruit better in this fashion. Recruitment costs aren't up beyond the normal global, but the maintenance is increased. Recruit rank, okay, so he can put, and recruitment capacity, so again he can get that army together, but paying for it is the trouble. Oath gold, leadership, charge bonus. Here you go. Miners, Rangers both throws miners. So Rangers are one of his buff units. He gets good access to those. Unlocks recruitment of Thanes and +2 capacity for Thanes. So you don't have to have the military building. Again, this all plays into him just heading straight for 8 Peaks. Finally here, camping movement range, construction costs for settlements, and the shattering aura, -12 leadership to enemies. Really good. Here are his 4 additions. Alright, so here's another bonus for miners. Miners with blasting charges. Really good. And if you can get an ammo buff for them, you can get more. There's a buff for his rangers. So miners and rangers, remember his big units. Iron breakers, iron drakes, it's going to be a late unit. Those guys, you're not going to probably be able to build and afford a lot of those. And then this one here, sundering, suppressing shot, flammable shot, and more rangers. Ulthar's raiders are probably, I would guess that's, I don't know, is that one of these guys? Yeah, okay, they're the Regiment of Renown. So he's mostly buffing miners and rangers, and these kind of lead into that. I don't think this is nearly the good skill set that the previous 2 fellas had, but it does help. Let's see what else. What does he have for rangers in here? Rangers there, rangers there, rangers here and here. So a little bit for rangers. Yeah. Does he have the early ranger building? Yeah, here you go. See, he can get ranger building pretty easy. And then he can get the Bugman Rangers here. So Rangers are his thing. They're pretty expensive, but he does start with a couple. You can see them right there. Okay. So I think Thorgrim, definitely a great set of buffs. And then Ungrim, a great set of buffs. Let's go look now at Grombrindal. So Grombrindal was an addition. He used to be, I believe, in Warhammer 2, somebody you could get while playing somebody else, in the same way that Volkmar was somebody you could get while playing somebody else. I don't think they were their own lord. Didn't play any Empire, I must admit, in Warhammer 2. I don't believe I played the Dwarfs in Warhammer 2. So I'm not really up to par on that one. But in this Warhammer 3, you can see he starts way over here, long way from home. And he's got a really unique skill tree.
How can I help?
He's all about revenge. So you can see here, movement range. He's got this big thing where he can get places. He's got big reinforcement range. You can see here, this allows him to get places quickly. This increases movement range for everybody faction-wide. So then here, melee defense when defending. I try not to defend when I'm playing, but okay. Vigor loss and wound recovery time puts him back on the battlefield. This one, Iron Drakes and War Machines, that's really good for the heavy stuff. Look, it includes all of the gyro flight units, which are really, really strong nowadays. And he starts out with a unit of Iron Drakes, which is great. This one here, speed and armor-piercing weapon damage. He loses base but gains weapon damage. 35% speed for the Lord's Army, so that'll turn even one of these guys here, whose speed is 28, and you increase that by 9, so it's 37, 36, 37, which is really pretty respectable. And then finally, you've got Gremlin's Revolve. Cooldown to Grombrindal has no fear, and 4 uses for it. That's the special ability he has here, where he gets unbreakable and melee defense within 55 meters. Melee defense of 24 is just phenomenal. So does Singe add right here, Longbeards. Kind of takes a while to get Longbeards. You probably have, well, nowadays with the buffs to the AI, you may need Longbeards. I think the Longbeards are not necessarily the greatest unit, but if they're getting buffed better than your traditional Dwarven warriors, why not? This one here, you can see missile resistance and can't move, so that's kind of the Anathrena that the Wood Elves have, but you can freeze someone and then shoot them down. That's great for an enemy lord that you can snipe. Rekindled hatred for all dwarf melee. Look at that one. Debuffs everybody within 35 meters, so makes him easier to kill and reduces their killing. And then finally the Cold Ire. Look at that, a buff to all these ranged units. So this is not a bad set. Again, I don't think as good as Ungrim's massive Slayer buffs or Thorgrim's overall set. But then Grombrindal's got a really unique campaign anyway. Kind of love-hate relationship playing all the way out there. Especially since I don't like fighting all the Skaven and the Dark Elves that are out there. So Thorek, I want to say, in the middle of a campaign for Thorek right now, that this is the hugely OP set. I think Thorek may be the best skill set of the dwarfs outside of Thorgrim because of his massive savings. 75% potential savings on runes for Thorek, which with the new system where Oath Gold is easy to get because you can build a building that churns out 10, 15, 20 a turn. So Thorek's skill set to begin with, he starts off here, he starts off here with 50% reduction for crafting runes. And then if you come in here, there's this cooldown for Wrath and Ruin. That's great. He causes fear. There's rune magic reduction. This one here, Oath Gold, construction cost and rebuilding time. Then this one here, he gets a rune of spite as part of his skill tree. And he gets this one here, missile resistance within 35 meters. And then this one here, this is fantastic. You get that rune of burning for bolt throwers. I don't know that you're going to use bolt throwers necessarily, but that rune of seeking for grudge throwers. The seeking rune is better than it was on launch. Then armor piercing missile damage for quarrelers. Then here, you get a charge bonus right there, right? Then down here, these are the really powerful ones, I think. Here, Runic Bolts, anti-magic, anti-infantry projectile, and shield breaker for quarrelers and rangers and increased range. That one alone at rank 4 is stupid good, because the only people who are going to stop you are those with armor and with shields, and you're basically obviating that stuff right here. Then just at level 6, Longbeards. He starts off, does he start off with a Longbeard? I think it's started off with an Ironbreaker. Yeah, an Ironbreaker and a Longbeard. Then here, there's melee defense and expert charge defense for dwarf melee infantry units. Expert charge defense for every infantry unit, including miners. That's outrageous. And then finally here, armor-piercing missile damage and reload time reduction for Grudge Thrower. Now it doesn't have the Grudge Settler Grudge Throwers in there, and I don't know that they get skill set bonuses anyway, but I think this is a fantastic set of skills. This one in particular, that magic anti-infantry projectiles and shield breaker, that's insane. And then 15% range for quarrelers and rangers. So if you look at a quarreler, you're talking about a range of 160. You can add, what? Divide that by 10, 16, 20. You're going to add to it. It's going to be 184. So they're out shooting the same as a high elf base. So that's a fantastic set of skills. All right, so let's go to the last one. This is the one that I won't necessarily be able to remember or recognize the true strength and benefits of, because I haven't really played Malakai. I'm kind of saving that for when I'm ready. So Malakai is insanely interesting because he's a horde faction. He gets access to some massive gunship that he can have last the entire battle. I've seen some people play it. I've tried not to watch too much because I don't want it spoiled for when I do it myself. But I know that it's possible to raise large numbers of gyrocopters and use those with him. Alright, he gets the Spirit of Grombrindal, that's the one he gets. And he's the only one that starts with these two fellas. They're a quest for everybody else. So what is his base skill set? Okay, you've got research rate and engineers right there. You've got upkeep for slayers, weapon strength for slayers, missile strength for slayers. So he's improving slayers in a manner that even Ungrim doesn't. Replenishment for war machines. Ammunition, that's for him. Construction for military support buildings, that's where you get your heroes from. And then finally here, excuse me, range. The ranged munitions, magical attacks, pretty insane stuff. Here's his 4 new ones. So Vanguard deployment for Slayers. That means you can send the Slayers right in on the enemy and start dealing damage right away. Dream of Flight. Speed for his flying units, unending volley for flying units. So that I'm not a fan of this kind of thing, this paracreep. That was something that's supposed to only be something that Eltharion does. Now they're giving that to Malakai. So it basically turns Malakai into a Dwarven Eltharion. Okay. Targeting Tinkering's Hawkish Precision, so you give you accuracy and range for artillery. That's slurping up an ability that Geld has. And then finally, Queen of the Skies. Thunderbarge units, that's that massive flying unit. Lower the speed and leadership of enemy units so that they can catch and kill their prey. So I think those will probably lean pretty hard into what he does. Those of you that play him probably have a better understanding. But since the Dwarfs are kind of popular right now with the new Deeps DLC, I thought it might be good to pull up the Singe skills for them so people could add a little more color. I think of the 6, 4 of them are really good skill sets, and I think Ungrim and Thorgrim, outstanding stuff, and then Thorek Ironbrow, his could possibly be the best set of skills added in the mod. Thank you very much.